Hey guys, welcome to the Property Panel Podcast. You got myself, Jalen Hardcastle, here with co-host Josh Story, and today we're going to be going over episode 11. We're going to be doing our quarterly update, so we're going to be coming to you about 4 times a year to show you our progression over the months. And today, Josh, would you go ahead and thank our title sponsors?
Yeah, before we get into today's episode, I want to give a big thanks to our title sponsors, Collier Title Company. They do deed prep, title work, closings, and more, and they're located in Brandenburg, E-Town, and Louisville. And you can call them at 270-763-6589. And then a big shout out to Chad Gooden at Supreme Lending. He does FHA, VA, conventional, and much more, located off of North Mulberry Street in E-Town. And then for this week's sponsor, I want to thank Taylor Inspection Services. They do residential, commercial, termite, and chimney inspections, as well as mold sampling, and you can give them a call at 270-723-6530 or visit them online at taylorinspectionservicesllc.com.
Thank you for that, Josh, and thank you to Taylor Inspections. You guys were our first monthly sponsor, so it's very appreciative. And we build each week with each monthly sponsorship, and this episode's actually going to be pretty good because we're going to be going from our start to now, which I know it's only been 3 months, but I mean, to show what we've progressed in such a short amount of time, I feel like it's pretty extraordinary. And we really only started this just to bring yourself more knowledge as well as us, to make us better agents and to better service our community. So we want to give a big thank you to you guys because you guys make it possible. And then if you or anyone you know would like to become a weekly, monthly, or yearly sponsorship option, give us a call at the numbers behind us, send us an email, or message us on Facebook. And the different sponsorship options are 100 weekly, 300 monthly, and 3,000 yearly. And here at about, I guess, July, we'll be reevaluating those numbers. So get in while the getting's good. Right now, we're on about 5 or 6 different platforms, and we're reaching about 2,000 to 3,000 views per week accumulatively. So we, again, appreciate you guys for tuning in. And while you're at it, go ahead, give us a like, share, subscribe, whatever you can do. It's totally free, and it helps us out tremendously.
Yeah, so right now we're on TikTok, Apple Podcast, YouTube, and Facebook. We do plan on continuing to expand that, but we're adding something new every podcast. So we're getting there with all those different platforms, and I think we plan on hitting Spotify here soon. Maybe going live on other platforms, live streaming platforms, but we'll announce those when they come. But I guess we're going to dive in today's episode. We're going over just about us, our progression, and our future. And I guess we could start with, Jay's role at the podcast and what all he does.
Yeah, so I guess we're going to go over each individual role. And while we're at it, we didn't obviously mention Ethan at the beginning. He's on vacation this week, so we want to wish him safe travels on his way back home. And we wish you could be here with us, but we also wish we could be with you because I'm sure you're living it up down there. But yeah, as far as roles goes, so we all play, independent roles, but, we're basically dividing and conquering to bring y'all the best we can for this podcast. So basically what my role is, what I like to say is I'm kind of like a developer. I'm going to be doing the scripts, getting us to the ideas and stuff like that, and really kind of setting the groundwork for what's next, and then Josh, he's going to come in and do his role and kind of put the pen to paper and kind of even the edges out right there.
A little bit of an editor, I guess, final editing. Jay writes a lot of the show ideas and a lot of our topics, and then I come back through and type it down on this piece of paper.
And then gets it on all these monitors for us as well, which is big. And then he's actually, since Ethan came on, he wanted it scripted a little differently so he could help us produce a little bit better. Right. And, Josh, he accepts the demand and conquers it.
And then as far as, other parts of my role, I try to focus on a lot of the social media, which me and Jalen kind of split that. Which there's a few programs that we use for social media. It's not just like YouTube and Facebook. There's a little bit behind the scenes on that. But, I try to do some of our social media, sometimes help find the new equipment that we're trying to look for and trying to improve
that's one we kind of do together. We'll sit here and brainstorm after every podcast like, that was great. What's new? What's next?
And we also, after every podcast, we'll watch the whole thing back just to see what we could change, what we could do differently. If there was any, glitches or anything, we try to focus on that.
And there has been issues, and it's not either one of our faults. It's just learning. It's a learning curve. We're expanding and growing so quickly with each independent, new thing that we get, whether it's a mic, whether it's a mixer, a camera. There's so many intricacies that go into together to make them fit. So y'all might not even realize, you might see our mouths just a millisecond off or something, but we literally have to offset our mics to for this good
To
of a
the
camera.
camera.
So we're offsetting
Yeah.
like 1,200 milliseconds, I think, just to
And
try
there's
and catch
different
up.
offsets for different cameras. There's
Mhm.
different offsets for different mics. And so
We're learning.
yeah, we're just trying to dial it in, and I think we're getting there.
Mhm.
I think right now our next issue is next time we go live, we need to get like internet back in this office. So that's going to be an easy fix, but you know, our router's on the other side of the building, so you know that's the reason we had a few issues there. But we're working on that, and I think we're going to be working on the studio itself here shortly. You know, the look and feel of it. But you know, now that
Definitely
we got
paint. This is horrendous.
yeah, we need more paint. But we just got new headsets for everybody. So we got 3 mics. We have 4 mics, 4 headsets, and we got
4 cameras.
4 cameras. We have 4 or 5 lights. So
Shoot, we got it all, which we will be going over later. Let's actually,
okay.
we're taking away from Ethan, I think. Even though he's not here, he's supposed to be keeping us on track, so we might stray a little off subject today, not having him in the office. But Ethan's role, he's big for us. I know that he came on a little late, but we needed him. You know, he's great for the team as far as keeping us in line, and he's big more, I think, in the social media world just because he's a tad younger. He's not that much younger, but that big difference in age gap is tremendous for social media, so he's a whiz when it comes to that stuff. And also, like I said, keeping us in line, like if we stray off subject or even on our run-throughs, and then he will also check, you know, all of our recordings that we're doing before we even come live. We're doing 4 or 5 test runs just to make sure our mics are working, you know, try to prevent those issues that we're still having. But I think, like you said, that monitor, or not the monitor, the Wi-Fi they're bringing in here, it's going to be spliced right here. Right now we're having to go, you know, 1,200 square foot across a block building, which is tough to get through block if you're not familiar. And now we got metal wrapped on the outside of that block, so you ain't getting no signal in here. But yeah, so we actually got right here. There's a spot for Josh, who used to be with BBTL, so he's going to splice it for us, and we're going to hook up a Wi-Fi router in here, so when we're live, we won't have any issues. Hopefully,
we'll have
fingers crossed.
Fast internet.
We say that, then there'll be more issues.
Something else pops up. Every time we fix one issue, a new one pops up. But that's just how it goes.
Well, I guess we should go ahead and get into it. So, as we're gonna be basically how the episode's gonna go, we're gonna obviously talk about us, our roles, which we have just went over, but now we're going to be kind of talking about our progression. So where we started, now we're going to go over where we're at, and then later on in the show, we're going to be talking about our future goals and what you can expect to see from us in the future. But I guess to start it off, Josh, could you tell us when or how or why we even started?
So I guess the idea of the podcast really started at the end of last year, sometime around December, which I think, you know, me and Jade kind of just mentioned it jokingly a few times hanging out, like, it'd be cool if we started a podcast. And then Jalen at the turn of the year was like, or, you know, close to it, was like, hey, we need to actually do this maybe. And, you know, when the year started, we talked about how we were going to do it, what we were going to name it. And then we were reaching out to different companies to get that title sponsorship, to get, you know, because a lot of this equipment's really expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And so those title sponsors helped us start with, you know, our first mics and our first cameras. So
big shout out to them, because they had faith in us, which we work alongside with them primarily. So they know that we can do good work, but at the same time, to take that big of a risk on something that hasn't even started yet, you know, just taking someone's word for it. We appreciate Collier and Chad Gooden tremendously, because without you guys, we wouldn't be here today. And we went from hand-me-down camera and a hand-me-down mic to $4,000 or $5,000 worth of equipment in the studio right now, and we keep on building every week. So we appreciate you guys. We appreciate our title sponsors tremendously, because, like I said, without them, I don't think we'd be here. I wouldn't have been able to afford it, you know, on top of our investments and everything else we got going. This was I was like, I'd really like to do this, but I'm not funding this project. And Josh was the same way. He's like, yeah, I mean, we got our money tied up in important investments, and this is an important aspect to our business, but it's not necessarily something that we see a lot of return on investment, because every dollar that goes into this podcast is getting poured right back into it.
Every bit. I mean, we had, you know, quite a bit of money, and then we drained it back down to like
every week
$5.
we're like, heck yeah, we got so much money in there, and then like next week it's like, dang, it says zero again.
But I love it, man. I love it. I love adding new things to the podcast, and you know, it's been quite a bit of a journey since January. You know,
it was exciting.
Adding in new
It's
things.
been exciting every week, because like you said, we've added something new too. So I mean, we're excited to come in here. I mean, even if y'all aren't watching, like our views on YouTube especially, that's where we started, and we're going to go over like how many platforms we were on when we started. But our views on YouTube, the first episode was our most views
on YouTube.
So like our views have been going down on YouTube, but we was only reaching 100 a week. Then now we're reaching 2,000 to 3,000 on 4 or 5 different platforms. So we might lose some viewers on one platform, but we'll pick it up in another. And I think now we're getting that outreach that we've been looking for.
You know, I still kind of am, but you know, just being on camera, being live, it's kind of nerve wracking. But you can tell in the first episode,
we'll show you some of that
I'm
here later
out of
too.
my comfort zone completely. But yeah, we've came a long way, just not only from the quality, but I think from just us as podcasters in general.
How many platforms were we on when we started? Was it just one or?
Well, we did have a Facebook, but it was just a page.
Okay.
But we were only on YouTube as far as going live.
Yeah, because we'd post our link on our Facebook. It was like, yeah, people are going to go there. And then people was like, that's too hard. I'm like, it's too hard to click a link. Come on, help me out.
Which was one of our first purchases was Streamlabs Pro or whatever. So that way we can go live on more than one platform.
Yeah, multi-streaming.
And, you know, that helped quite a bit. But, you know, then we added Ethan later on. This is a little bit later on, but we added Ethan just because it makes, you know, it's a little bit more peace of mind because he's monitoring the stream. He's looking at the transitions and helping us with that so we can just really focus on the information that we're giving you. So we definitely really appreciate what Ethan does, and I'm sure he'll continue to pick up roles.
And he's gotten better and better. I know that y'all don't see him much, and it's not our choice. Like, we try and slide him on here every chance we get, and he's like, I don't want on the camera. Like, I'll talk, but he doesn't want to be seen, so hopefully we'll continue to slowly introduce him so he does warm up. But, yeah, so I guess we touched about the platforms we started on, the viewers we were getting.
Some of the original equipment now.
What did we start out with? I guess I kind of spoiled it earlier, but if you can remember, you might win something. But
so this was our first mic, or one of our first.
Our first. We didn't use that one.
This is an older version of the mics we use now, and it's not a bad mic if you're starting out. But if you're starting out, I actually do recommend these anyway because they're pretty cheap. But Yeti,
cheap comparably.
Yeah, comparably, they're really cheap for, you know, a good quality mic. And then as far as cameras, we just had webcams.
It was an Amcrest that we got from our boy G. Actually, the first two things that we used. Well, yeah, he gave us. We had the Amcrest, I think, from my house, which G brought us the Logitech and the Blue mic. The mic was exceptional. He's like, we got to get more of these.
You know, big shout out to Garrett.
Garrett was huge. He used to be.
Really helped.
He was one of the title sponsors, and we don't give him credit, obviously, where it's due because he had to leave Supreme. He didn't have to, but he had a great opportunity to rise back at his old job. So, but we do thank him tremendously too. I kind of felt bad not mentioning him, so I appreciate you for bringing him in there. But yeah, G, he played a huge role, not only with being a title sponsor, but giving us our first equipment, showing us because we knew nothing. Literally, G came in the first week or two or three times and was like, guys, like, I could figure this out in my sleep. Come on.
Well, he streams himself. So
he does.
So he knows all these programs, and he was able to get
Shout out Desperate Saint on Twitch if you want to go give him a follow. He has a pretty good following on there. I think at one point he had a few thousand subscribers per month, so he was getting up there, especially during COVID. I know he's a lot busier now, so he might not stream as much, but he's a very likable guy, so I'd go give him a watch for sure. Do you have anything else to touch base on before we get into showing them some of our old videos?
Go through a few of our equipment right now, or are we going to break down some videos
later
first?
Show our progression.
Okay.
But I kind of want to show them how we look.
Yeah.
Or how we started.
Episode 1.
Yeah. That's actually what I was going to say. I think that's why we do. Oh, I never hit transition. They were sitting here watching us the whole time.
Oh, shit.
We'll have to fix that one or something.
I was watching us the whole time.
It was watching us. I never hit transition.
I'm over here going to town.
We might cut that one out later. But I think this would be a great time to go to the break. So would you want to give a thanks to our title sponsors before we go to intermission? Hold up. I need to pause this, too, because they keep talking in the background. My goodness. This is why we need Ethan.
Ethan, where you at?
Ethan, come on, buddy. Don't ever make us do this again. No, go ahead, Josh.
All right. I want to thank our title sponsors. So big thanks to Collier Title Company. If you need deed prep, title work, closings, and more, they're located in Brandenburg, E-Town, and Louisville. And you can call them at 270-763-6589. And then a big shout out to Chad Gooden at Supreme Lending. If you need help with any lending questions or if you want to get approved, FHA, VA, conventional, and more, he's located off of North Mulberry Street in E-Town. And then I want to thank this week's sponsor, Taylor Inspection Services. And he'll be coming on hopefully soon. But he does residential, commercial, termite, and chimney inspections as well as mold sampling. And you can give him a call at 270-723-6530 or visit him online at TaylorInspectionServicesLLC.com.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Property Panel Podcast. We thank you for staying with us during that brief intermission. And before we left to go on that break, I think we were about to dive into what were we about to say?
We were about to dive into some of our old videos,
Yes,
just to show you some of our progression, and you can see our old camera, our old mics, or at least settings, and just kind of see how we've progressed since then.
Let me go to screencast real quick for y'all and not mess it up again like we just previously did. There we go. We might be able to see something for them. Look at this camera quality.
Yeah, camera and lighting.
Into that, and that's what we're going to do today with the CMA.
Yep, and CMA, obviously, it determines the value of your home.
So as you can see,
it's not an official
we had a
appraisal,
little
but it's
fishbowl
our
effect there.
gather of the comps
Camera
that have
quality,
sold,
the lighting
recently
wasn't
in
good.
the area.
Obviously,
So
we've upgraded
it's our
lights since
professional
then.
advice,
We've
which
upgraded
lists the home
cameras,
at.
mics.
Obviously, we will
and then
go over
if
later
you want
on
to kind of
different
show them our next few
inspections and
videos
stuff.
that even with Tyler, we had 3 people at one point, and we still had one mic.
Is it a Remax out there?
Yeah, so I actually
But it
started
still looks
real
good.
estate
Our lighting
at
got
a local
better. We
company
did
here, a
get
smaller local company
newer
here.
lights, but at the same time,
Did that for a couple of
when we
years,
also
and then I moved to
switched to
Colorado on a
yeah,
whim.
yeah.
You know, you're young, you do what you want to do.
and then look at the difference in those versus some of the quality we have today in the newer studio setup.
Money to be made on those properties,
sounds
but
good,
with more
dude.
money comes more risk. So, like I said, we will touch more on those subjects, and we are going to
I mean,
break
you
down.
can definitely tell the progression that we've made.
Zonings for each type of build that you're going to do. So as you can see, there's a big difference in video quality, audio quality, lighting, the whole nine. Our studio setup's better. Like we had mentioned, I think our next big move is painting. We're going to be rearranging this office. If Ethan was here, he would show you our other setup. And I wish we took pictures from where we started in the very first room right there. When we originally were trying to do it in the conference room.
And Jen was like, "Nope."
Yeah, and then we was totally crowded. We could not fit even our 2 fat asses back
I
here.
like it
But
back here better.
I
anyway.
love this. I love this setup, and even the previous setup, we had it in this room, but it was switched around, and it was tough to get in and out, especially if you had guests. It was kind of like a hassle. So I feel like this setup is going to be beneficial to us. But like you said, I think we're going to be adding a new desk,
Yeah, we got a few ideas. We haven't really settled on anything yet, but we're going to change up the desk. We're going to change up the background. But that's all coming soon, and hopefully sooner than later. But I think paint will be the easiest, cheapest way to kind of set it off a little bit. I don't know.
Look at this. It does nothing for my skin. I blend right into this wall.
I reflect off of it, I think.
But so as far as progression, Josh, so like we said, we started on just one platform. How many platforms are we at currently?
We're on 4 right now. We're trying to branch out to like 6 maybe at most. I think the next 2 that we're going to add are just streaming platforms exclusively. So if we can get on like Twitch or Kick or something similar. And maybe, once we hit enough, I think you have to have a certain amount of followers on TikTok, but we can go live on TikTok as well.
Right. Yeah.
So we're trying to hit all these platforms. I don't think we're going to like add too many more because we are hitting all the main ones, but streaming platforms we might hit later down the road, and then we're really trying to dial in on our just social media game in general. So our TikTok and our shorts and stuff, we're trying to get those better and better.
So we're on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook,
Apple Podcasts.
We're looking to add on Twitch and Kick and Spotify by the end of the year. Spotify we've been working on, but for some reason
it's
maybe because I've talked so much crap because I'm an Apple guy that they're like, which I know it don't make much difference, but
Right.
I'm an Apple guy through and through. I'm a listen on Apple, but we do want to reach it for everyone,
Right.
So we don't discredit you for having an Android, but you might want to go find a new iPhone.
And I think it's a benefit because, ultimately we're not necessarily doing more work to hit more platforms. We're doing the same podcast, it's same content, we're spreading out. And I think that's the best way to do it if you're doing a podcast, which, we've definitely kind of emulated off of some, famous podcasters where, you have your long form, your hour or 2 hour long podcast. You can then take, 10-minute clips or shorts from that. And then you have basically a whole social media presence just off your 1 hour
Right.
or 2 hour podcast. And I think that's the best way to capitalize, at least as far as content. Because, not everybody's going to watch the full hour, and, shorts are a little bit easier for people digest and watch because it's only 60 seconds.
Yeah, short attention spans, and I think that kind of goes into our next subject. Is kind of like, what equipment do you use? Obviously we just went over. We started out with a webcam and one of these mic that was gifted to us.
See if we had any of the boxes of our stuff, but
Of course we throw them away. We liked, or we recycled them.
So we have, as far as equipment, our microphones that we use are the Yeti X.
Well, I was gonna. You was on the subject about making those shorts and stuff. I just kind of want to talk to them about that because you see us on all these different platforms, but you don't see some of the platforms that we're using just to bring you these shorts like that. That is stuff that we got to pay for just to save us time. It'd take us probably 30, 40 hours just to get those 5 or 6 shorts that we're posting and put the captions on it and edit it the way it is. We're paying for a software, an AI generated software that's bringing you pretty good clips. Just
I think
literally directly from the source.
And really, we could tune them in more than that. Well, the program offers editing, so it does most of it automatically. We haven't really dove into the editing portion. Now that's something that we're going to be doing, here shortly. But it allows you to edit. So basically, what it does is I upload our whole podcast, and the AI system cuts it down into shorts based on the topics. I don't know how it does it, but it's like it picks the topic, and it's pretty good at picking the topic, and then it shortens it down to 15 seconds to a minute and a half, and then it adds the captions on them automatically, which you see that a lot on shorts.
And that's actually called
really handy.
Opus. So there's a few different streaming platforms that you could use that have that AI generated short clip filmmaker into that. But so you get so many hours per year, and I think it's like 3,300 hours or something we get with this pro version or something along that lines. But regardless, we get so many. With all of our clips, we did the math, and we have the perfect amount of hours per clip for the rest of the year to get what we need to continue producing those shorts.
So there's 2 levels of premium. I think the one that we got, it gives us 60 hours, which if we're only doing an hour-long podcast, that's more than one a week.
Right.
So, and I think you can add in, if we get to that limit, we can add in a few more hours.
Right.
But Opus is great. As far as our streaming platform, we use Streamlabs, and more specifically Streamlabs Plus. That allows us to multi-stream. It gives us a few more features, and we really like Streamlabs. It's pretty easy to pick up if you're new. Definitely still a learning experience because you got to know the audio, you got to know the camera, and then you got to know the streaming side of things. But still, Streamlabs Plus I think is a great way to start streaming, and it's a great platform for us, and we'll probably continue to use that. And I guess we don't really use too many other programs.
Not as far as to get
for
it to
the
you.
graphics. I use Canva, and I like Canva for real estate as well. When I make my listing photos,
Which, like you said earlier in the podcast, we do watch these, our old episodes and even our every week's episode to see how we can better do stuff for you guys. And one thing we noticed just while showing you guys those was that we hadn't changed our graphics since the beginning. Which Josh does a tremendous job. He's really good at that. That's one of his roles here that he plays at the podcast. But we should switch it up, give them a little different visuals, something new. Yeah.
And those graphics were really, they were like a base template, which I did edit them and add in our own vibe and feel to it. But if I want to make new ones, I think we, start from scratch and really build it around a brand kind of style.
Yep. And then as far as the other equipment we got, obviously, we got a heck of a camera. So we started out on those little, webcams, but now we got the same camera that Joe Rogan uses. I like to say that. Y'all might not think it's as impressive as me, but he's rich and I'm not, so it's cool to have the same camera.
We were trying to decide on what camera to get, and I was like, what does Joe Rogan use? And then I looked it up, and it's a pretty expensive camera, and we found a great deal on Facebook Marketplace.
Yep.
So we're pretty happy about that camera, and hopefully soon we can get another one.
And then shout out G again for the mics. We realized that for the price, you really can't get a better mic, but we did need more than one, especially to bring you better audio quality. So now with us all having our own individual mic, you can hear us without missing a beat.
And these arms too.
Yeah.
And Amazon is our best friend, dude. We get a lot of this stuff from Amazon.
Amazon
cheap.
Prime within the next day. Like I order it right now, it might be here later today. Who knows?
So we're like, if it's Wednesday or something, and we're like, oh, we need something for this Friday for the pod. We order it.
We're on there.
We can have it.
Shout out Amazon. If y'all want to sponsor, give us a call behind us.
Yeah, give us a call.
But then also, one thing that I think is huge that we've been struggling, and we've actually, is that other mixer up there? It might be somewhere else. But so we originally bought this little small mixer. It was actually a headphone amplifier is what it was called. So it had one input 4 outputs, and basically what we was wanting to do is be able to hear each other. This is what it is. It's a micro amp HA400, and so basically we was wanting to be able to hear each other talk, and we're not very smart, but I was like, hey, my buddy Jeremy uses these. He's in a band, and this is how he plugs it in. Well, I didn't realize there's only one input, and if you try and input 3 or 4 different things in one input, you're going to get a high frequency. So we actually had to upgrade to the Behringer 1202 SFX.
I could pick up that camera.
Yeah, it ain't worth it. We actually showed them the box or whatever. But anyways, it's the Behringer Zephyr Xenix. Actually, it's the Xenix 1202 SFX. And it's got the 4 inputs. It's got probably 12 outputs. So basically, we don't have that frequency, and we can all hear each other.
There's about 100 buttons on it. And Jay was like, Josh, quit.
Yeah. So when we got this thing, he literally was like, "Ooh, buttons," and was like just touching them.
I feel like a DJ.
I was like, cool. Yeah, that does look fun. And then I got in here plugging it up, and I was like, we just spent so much money, and this thing don't work. And I spent probably 3 hours on YouTube. Like, I had a factory reset it where Josh pressed all those buttons. It had messed it up. So we got her fixed, though, and it sounds pretty good. And we're very – that's probably one of – other than the camera and these mics, that was probably the biggest thing that I think really has helped us as far as confidence and, hearing each other.
Hear ourselves, hear each other. I really like that mixer, and we can edit our audio through it too.
Yeah, as we learn, and then actually we can connect it to Streamlabs. Right now we just have it connected to our mics because we're still learning, so at least for the time being we're hearing each other, we hear ourselves, but we would like it, and obviously you can hear us, and it's not going to change much for you, but what will change is, since we do have all those knobs and stuff, we can actually distort our voices, make it a little more fun, and bring a little more entertainment side of things to you guys.
That'd be cool once we start getting in.
We need to learn
some
that.
Live edits.
Yeah, Ethan could be over there just twisting buttons, like make us like 2-3 octaves higher. But and then obviously we got these headphones, and then I think one thing that's big is so on your phone, and we actually got an iPad that Ethan uses as a producer, so he has his laptop. We have the Mac right there that we can see the script and the live feed on. But he has this iPad that's basically a controller. So whatever I'm doing right here on my computer, Ethan can do on his computer, and he can do on his iPad. So really, I don't have to touch nothing. I know you might see me messing with stuff here right now. Ethan isn't here, obviously. We wish he was, because we've messed up a few times. But again, so bear with us, and we appreciate Ethan as much as it might not seem like it. We do appreciate him tremendously,
for sure.
And then obviously, like I said, we got the Mac, so that's bringing up the live feed. We got a camera on Ethan. We got a Skyview camera. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lights, not including the ones in the ceiling. Like you said, we're going to be painting these walls. We're getting a new custom LED sign. Shout out Blue Moon Mercantile for taking care of us on a short notice for this one. And then obviously the Cedar Hill property sign, that was taken off Etsy, and we've actually had that for a few years, but since we didn't have a colorful sign, I really like how that neon pops. So until we get the Property Panel Podcast neon sign, we'll have to do with what we got.
Massive, big old sign.
And then obviously, so as far as progression, again, I know that we've kind of been wrangling on because this is more of like an update episode than anything. But our sponsors, so we were struggling getting weekly sponsors there for a little bit, and then we had our first full month sponsorship. Shout out to John Taylor. And then right after that, we was like, hey, we need to get back on these weekly sponsorships. Had someone reach out, they want to do full 2 months. So we've been constantly building, and as we're reaching more viewers, obviously the price does have to go up. So get in while the getting's good. It's not something that we take lightly. We don't want no one to be breaking their backs trying to help us out, but to bring you the most that we can, we do gotta add value to our podcast.
I feel like, so no one's taken the year option yet, but it is quite a bit to
you get 12 weeks free, 1,200 free using that $3,000 option. Right.
And I think, it's hard to see, but we're not going to stop doing this. We're not going to stop improving on it. I think it's a good option for anyone who has that marketing budget. I think it's, in my opinion, better over like a billboard, because these people are actually seeking out this type of information.
Oh yeah.
And it's applicable, and we're hitting the local market. So I feel like that year term is actually a really good deal, especially once we start changing prices, because we're not going to stop for the year. Like, we're going to keep going, keep getting better, having bigger and bigger guests on is what we plan on doing, and reaching more people. So I really do think it's a good option.
Yep, it's a great option. And actually, like I said, Ethan's not on, and one of the things that he's in track of is making sure everything's charged in my Dan computer's failing to charge at the moment, and someone took the charger from back here. So
go grab it?
it's about to die. We need to wrap up quick. So we were going to be going over, what have we learned while podcasting and how has it helped us. It's helped us and our clients alike. I'm going to breeze through this really quickly just to get the rest of this information out there before my computer does die. But so it's helped us help our clients. And, if someone has a question or something, I'll refer them to an episode. If I don't, obviously I know it offhand, but if they want to dive deeper, I'm going to give them a brief summary, tell them to go check that out. And then obviously what I think that we'll kind of go over, like I said, we ain't got much time right now. And we might actually create a little clip later. But we have goals that we wanted to go over for our future as far as, personal goals and goals for the podcast. But as far as what we're going to discuss right before we tune off, Josh, I'm going to let you go over these title sponsors here in a second. But for the future, we're going to be going, obviously we talked about that sponsorship cost going up to bring you more and better, episodes. We're going to get another camera, so we're not going to have any discrepancy. I know Ethan's camera's clear, but we would like to have, if, our guests are sitting up over there, what have you, that we're all on the same, frame rate. Right. We're going to have new studio, so we're getting new paint, new signs, new table, new lights, new setup. So it's all going to be new. It might take us a couple weeks for that. That's a big deal. That's going to be probably $1,000 to $1,500 project alone.
Yeah, for sure.
So, that's to come, new sign. We got some big guests in the work. I know you touched subject on that. I'm not going to mention who. We're not going to mention when, but it's coming. We got some big guests, and I think you'll be really surprised. So, like I said, that's also why those sponsorship costs are going up. We're going to be getting shout-outs from,
People
some
with
very
followers.
important people, VIPs. So, Josh, and then obviously we are going to be improving our view count. Like I said, we're already reaching 2,000 to 3,000 views a week cumulatively, and we're only 3 months into this. Imagine we're going to be at the fourth quarter at the end of this year. I can only imagine how well we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
But again, thank you guys for tuning into the Property Panel Podcast. Josh, before
Thank
we
you,
tune
guys.
off, what do you go over the title sponsors?
Yeah, I want to give a big shout out to our title sponsors for this podcast. Big thanks to Collier Title Company. If you need deed prep, title work, closings, and more, they're located in Brandenburg, E-Town, and Louisville. And you can call them at 270-763-6589. And then a big shout out to Chad Gooden at Supreme Lending. If you have any lending questions or need an approval for FHA, VA, conventional, and much more, he's located off of North Mulberry Street in E-Town. And then I want to thank this week's sponsor, Taylor Inspection Services.